Okay. Hi, I'm Grace Ann, and I'll be talking about my operations research midterm three, problem three. And to start with a little bit of background, we're talking about the Communicorp company currently, and Emily, one of the employees, has to make some decisions about these new servers that they're going to implement for a new intranet. They've been having a lot of problems with communication in the past, and they're hoping to mitigate those with this new intranet and these new servers to host that. And so Emily has to make decisions about when to buy the new servers and which to buy in order to minimize costs and really effectively cover all of the departments and employees that need to be covered with this. So the first type of formulation we're going to do is a month by month one. So if Emily decided each month to take a new look at her problem and buy as much as she needed to cover the implementation costs of that month. So to start, we're going to group months 1 and 2 because we know in month 1 she's only doing education. She's not purchasing any servers, but month 2 is a little bit different. And so these 2 months are constrained by a limit of $9,500. So when we're making this, we want to minimize the cost. So just a little bit of background about this model and those going forward. We have 2 types of variables here. We have our X variables and our Y variables. And so X is the cost normally in any month of one of the servers. So X1 being the standard Intel Premium PC, X2 being the enhanced, X3 being the SGI workstation, and S4 being the Sun workstation. And then we have our Y variables, which will be the amount of discounted servers bought. So Y1 corresponding to the SGI workstation, and then Y2 corresponding to the Sun workstation discounted rate. And so something else you can see here is another constraint that is the capacity of all of these. So you can see the capacity of each server added together needs to be at least 60. So we need to have the capacity to roll this out into the sales department, who has 60 employees. And as this is an integer programming model, we do want all these to be integers. We can't buy half of a server. And so when I did plug this into IBM, we found that the standard Intel PC would be the best option, and it would be buying 2 of those, and it would cost $5,000. Something else to note here is that the enhanced Intel PC is also $5,000. And this model does not take into account the amount of leftover capacity for employees moving forward. So in a different model, this might be a good idea to say, like, we also want to maximize the amount of storage left over while still minimizing the cost. But with that being said, we'll move on to month 3. So very similar model, same minimizing that objective function, subject to that same constraint, but this time we're rolling it out to a different department. We're rolling it out to the largest department in manufacturing. So it does need to account for 200 employees. And same thing, all integers. And so with this in mind now, our model gave us that the best option here would be to buy 1 SGI workstation for $10,000. And now we can move on to month 4. Again, same model, we're just changing it a little bit each time to account for that capacity in different departments. In month 4, we're implementing it in the warehouse. And this time, again, it would be the best idea to buy 1 standard Intel PC for $2,500. And in the last month, the same formulation, this time with 75 employees, and the best would be to buy that enhanced Intel PC for $5,000. So all of this, if Emily went by a month-to-month basis, the analysis does tell us that Communicorp would spend a total of $22,500. And so the other side of this is, what if Emily actually thought about all the months together? And something that we also need to note here is that there was a possibility for discounts, but she didn't take advantage of those. And that was largely because she only had a very small capacity for each month. So taking this big problem that we'll look at next and breaking it down into smaller problems, it looked more appealing to buy one of those smaller, cheaper servers rather than buying a larger server, maybe at a little bit of a discount early on, so that can supply multiple departments. And so now we'll look at the month formulation, the whole 5-month formulation. So as you see, again, it's the same objective function. So we're still trying to minimize the cost of all of the servers bought and at a discount. But this time it's a little different. So it's subject to that we can house at least 375 employees, and that the servers bought in the first month will be less than $9,500 because we still do have that constraint in the first 2 months. So as you can see, Y1 and Y2 do correspond with the discounted values, which does mean that if they are discounted, they were bought in the first month. With this as well, we have a constraint that X2, X3, and X4 and Y2 must be at least 1. And all this is saying is that Emily does need to purchase at least one of a little bit more high-powered server, not just the standard Intel PC. And so again, these are all integers. And when we plug this into IBM, you can see down here, some of these variables might be a little bit hard to understand, but are essentially this ZSGI down in the right-hand corner is if we use a discount or not. So you can see that it is 1, so we are turning that on. We are going to buy in the first month an SGI workstation at a discount of 25%. So SGI actually works a little different. They don't give you the discount the rest of the month, even if you buy it in the first month. But it still makes more sense as our second purchase to buy an SGI workstation in a later month. It doesn't matter which, probably the third month. And so this does cost her $19,000, which is cheaper than the $22,000 roughly that we saw before. And so some other costs and concerns that Emily should be thinking about as she does implement this across her workplace. First of all, I think that obviously before the company was communicating in some capacity, right? And so the idea of taking what they had before and then moving it over to a new system, this migration and implementation could cost bringing another company in and having them migrate everything over, or it could just cost the time of all of your employees really to sit down and decide what they need to bring over, what they don't, kind of sort through that. So it will take a toll on the business in the short term. Outside of that too, I know that Emily really pushed education in the first month, but the idea of education and onboarding continually as you get, as the software updates, as you get more employees, it will have an incurred cost. Outside of that too, upkeep and maintenance of these servers, making sure that you're staying up to date with updates, whatever it might be, and having someone to talk to who works for the parent company that can lead you and make sure you're doing all the right things does take time and money. And some concerns that especially the sales and marketing departments might have is privacy and security. So we do live in a time where internet security is really important. Data privacy is really important. So I'm sure that there would be some pushback on how secure the system is and how and even some training around how to best practices of using this for security and privacy. And with that, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this problem around server allocation. Thanks.